Alright, hello everybody, Skyrim here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. The patch notes have been released, let's go ahead and get into it here. I've seen multiple thumbnails of this already. I'm going to try to not make the same thing. They're like, oh, barb and temp nerfs, and just stop. I've seen like literally 5 of the same ones. So I'm going to try to not do that. If anything, I might do it as a meme, I don't know. But, alright, here we go. We got a new battle pass. Make sure you're claiming all your battle pass stuff before this week. Claim all your battle pass stuff this week because there's going to be resetting and starting over. So, and that's the color palette they're going with. I'm not going to play the video, but you get the idea what it looks like in general. So it basically boils down to, do you like the color scheme every time with these things? But anyway, and then there's the big pay to win one here. Not pay to win, but the big pay cosmetic here for the 1,000 orbs. All right, if you want to look werewolfish or what have you, it looks like there's multiple different versions. So it's not, the one's a werewolf, the other ones, they're not all werewolves. We'll have to see when that actually goes live to where we can get a good look at all of them. But yeah, so if you want to pay for it, hey, you know, that's on you. And returning events, same stuff. Not going to cover too much of this. Winds of Fortune, this is going to be one of those things again when it comes around on the 1st of October to see if in fact we can get the double normal gems. This is the only thing worth doing to test, honestly, to see if we can pull that off again. As we all know, their track record on how they code things and how they design, they either screw up and forget that, because look right here, please keep in mind that battle points and normal gems are still subject to their respective weekly cap. Well, we as the community have tested that out before, and I will definitely be doing that again when this goes live to see, oh yeah, by the way, we can get double normal gems again for the week, so take full advantage of that. That's the only thing that makes it good, so is when they screw up like that or forget, or both. Either way, we'll see if we can do that again. Hopefully that still applies. Hopefully they didn't learn from the last time, because that was what made the event worthwhile. Alright. Alley of Blood, same stuff we've had before. All clans on deck, same stuff. Trials of Hordes, you get the idea. Standard fare. Fires Before Darkness. We're getting this one as a repeater now for whatever reason. It's just a tagline. We're getting the same rewards as always, the same paltry nonsense that looks good for new players, but again, of course, for, you know, veterans, it's a joke. It's too paltry to be whatever. I mean, it's nice, it's better than nothing, but that's as far as we can say. Balance changes. This is the big to-do, apparently, and there's only a couple of them, and there's not that much, so for them to put the clickbaity titles that they do in these videos is just kind of honestly annoying in my personal opinion. But here we are. Barbarian, Spark Tusk. I'll read them out. There's only one line for all these classes mainly. Spark Tusk's cooldown is getting increased from 10.5 to 12 seconds. Alright. I guess you could call that a nerf. It is, but, you know, still, Barbarian's got a lot more on its plate right now that's, you know, it needs a little bit more than that, but hey, whatever. Crusader, the, COL cooldown in Battlegrounds and Rite has been reduced from 32 to 29 seconds. Hey, yeah, Bubble Satyrs are coming back again, right? Alright, whatever. So that's a buff. Demon Hunter, Pain Sower, base attack interval increased. So that's a buff, right? Base attack interval increased. Change that only applies in Battleground. Maybe not. Maybe not, or maybe it is. I don't know. That's weird. Only in Battlegrounds too, so that's very selective. Monk gets 2 things. Okay, cooldown reduced. But none of this is in Battleground. I mean, it's across the board actually, so it would apply everywhere. Cooldown reduced for Flying Kick, and then Tiger's Flight. Wow, all those. The cooldown reduced from 9 to... Okay, so they basically just did that as a general thing. Necromancer, Defiling Stormgrim Scythe. Change now only applies in Battleground. Orbiting Scythe damage interval increased from 0.2 seconds to 0.5. Oh boy. That's not even a full second, so Alright, they didn't really want to touch that one too much. The Rolling Surf, one of the newer, I think, essences for Tempest. Change only applies in Battlegrounds. The cap for water daggers is reduced from 8 to 7. Oh yeah, because the span wasn't bad enough already. You're just taking one blade away. And honestly, when they have Zephyr clones throwing out the same thing, I don't think it matters. I don't think that matters at all. But okay. And again, the tagline for the thumbnails out there saying, oh, Barb and Tempest nerfs. It's like, stop it. Just get some help. Anyway. And then Wizard, we get Wizard. This is funny to me because we get cooldown reduction on teleport versions, okay? Finally, after over 2 years. But what remains the most funniest part about all of this is we've had teleport as our base core skill. Out of all the other classes, that's what made Wizard different. Over the course of time, they've released so many essences out there since, and all the other classes, pretty much, have gotten better versions of teleport than Wizard could ever hoped to have. Just saying, I find that hysterically funny and sad at the same time. So, anyway. Future updates. We're getting new runes upcoming here, so I'm looking forward to that. The biggest joke, however, in this statement is right here. Runes can appear as a rare monster drop anywhere, but they are most abundant within Abyssal Verge. Let's just take a moment and laugh hysterically for like minutes on end at that statement alone, because we know how much of a absolute joke that is in his statement. I don't know why they even bothered to put that in as a side note. Unless this patch goes live and something astronomically change happens in that regard to where they actually implement a drop rate fix for there, it's still an absolute wash. There's no point in them even saying that. The best places are still Accursed Towers, Dungeons, Elder Rifts. I get them everywhere else but there. So I don't know why they are continuing to put this in, because they're obviously not paying attention to their own game that well. But anyway, that's a little side tangent on that one. I'm just going to leave it on. We can move on. I think we're all in agreement, though, as a community on that one. It's a joke. I don't even know why they put that in. Rune sockets will have a contribute to score to an item. This is a weird aside thing to be putting in here. I don't know why. It really doesn't. I don't really pay that much attention to it. It's whatever. It's just I guess a design choice again. And unfortunately, so many of their design choices, as far as the developers go, are, on their own merit. They don't really listen that well to the community at large as they should. Some things they've finally caught up to, but it's, almost too little too late. And that applies to a whole bunch of gaming companies out there and developing companies, that kind of thing. They need to listen to their core audience a lot better than what they do. And they need to have a lot more interaction and customer support, instead of non-existent, or just barreling through with blinders on and doing their own thing and not really caring one way or the other. That just leaves a bad impression to the community and the player base on a franchise as a whole, in this case Diablo, of course. And you get the idea. I hope you understand where I'm coming from on this, and I hope we kind of are in agreement on that as well. But anyway, another side tangent. Sorry, I'm distracting myself again. All right, Tower War. Tower War is getting all the changes. It's getting a lot of changes, actually. Tower War is going to be coming back around, obviously. So whenever that does, I don't think they actually listed a date on this one. They didn't list a date. They just listed the changes. That's weird. So I guess we're getting Tower War coming up at some point here. There was no Chinese notes this time around. There is one I will show at the end of the video here, because it's something that we'll never have on global, and I wanted to just show everybody what they're getting. And they get on a reoccurring pattern too, but we'll never see these kind of events, and that's the reason why I want to put it in as a side note at the end here. But Tower War is getting points reduced, so I guess the games will go faster. 200 points getting lopped off, 200 points getting lopped off when the Guardian appears, so instead of 1,000 it's down to 800. You get the idea. Faster matchups, I guess, is the idea behind it. They weren't too terribly long, I don't think, anyway, but hey, whatever. more matches faster, get in, get out. The Sapphire normal gem will add towards your resonance total for matchmaking purposes in Tower War. I am not going to hold my breath to this one because they've said that numerous times for, like, you know, Battlegrounds in the past with it was armor and armor pen first, and then later they said it was all substats. And we all know how much that is still pretty much a lie. So, I'm not even going to pay too much attention to it or put too much stock into it because I think it's just another added tagline in here, another added sentence that's basically forgettable. So we'll obviously take that for what we will, but at this point, I hope we all know better and, like, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And let's move on from that, basically. It's just very odd in the case of Tower Wars, I will make one more note in this, that they just went with the Sapphire, the armor pen gem. They went with that one in particular and nothing else. So that's very, very, very odd. And again, I don't expect anything out of it, to be honest. It's just probably more fluff and more BS. So, all right. And then the Tower War rank ranges, they're making the adjustment to the Tower Wars that they did to Battlegrounds, to where once you make it into the next tier up from bronze, silver, gold, you will be locked into that ranking. So even if you start getting into a losing streak, what have you, obviously, as we know, poor matchmaking imbalance, that thing, you will still be locked into that tier you reached. So they're applying that to Tower Wars, which is good to see. Tower War compensation for AFK players, same thing they did with Battlegrounds, they're doing the Tower War, so you'll get some point compensation for that as well, so that's good. Challenge of the Immortal. Now I have a couple notes on this one. Challenge of the Immortal, they're saying that the Immortal was underperforming. Now they've made the following changes to better balance this. Life and damage gems will begin as effective. Will begin as effective for the Immortal. Okay. Okay, so the life and damage gem, the reds, the red gems. All right, interesting. And the total number of that really, I don't know. Anyway, the total number of kills required for the Immortal to win has been reduced. So in Rite of Exile, there you go. They're making those changes, I guess. It is what it is. It's still pretty much a political nonsense mess anyway. It's a bunch of handshaking and backstabbing, that kind of thing. It always has been, always will be, in every server. It's that same way, even though they say, oh, it's against terms of service. Good luck policing that. You never will. And basically they wanted that server clan drama on purpose anyway, to get people enticed to spend, as in the long and short of it, for a business aspect of this part of the game. So that is what it is in a nutshell. Now, I did want to make another note on this one for the Rite of Exile in general. They still have not, and I don't think they ever will, they still have not adjusted the resonance balance like they did in main Battlegrounds in Rite of Exile. That still does not apply. So whales in there have the full brunt of their resonance and their damage and their full power. So I don't think that's going to change for all the reasons I already made mention of. It's just that way on purpose, I think. It's unfortunate, but... And also, when you get killed in Rite of Exile battle, you do not teleport to your spawn like you do in the Battlegrounds. They did not make that adjustment to Rite of Exile. And again, I don't think they ever will, whether that be on purpose or they just forgot about it. And I don't know why that's actually on a separate program or separate coding. I thought whatever they do to Battlegrounds, it applies to everything. Apparently not. So, yeah, that's a side note in that one. Moving on. Shadow Goals. This one is the best one, I think, out of this entire list. Out of this entire patch notes, this is the best one. Shadow Goals. All available Shadow Goals will now be displayed instead of just 3. This is absolutely glorious. Absolutely glorious. I kind of hope it's a side scroll like the Immortal list, but if it's a scroll down, hey, whatever. At least now we'll be able to see them all at the start, and then we can pick and choose. And if there's a bunch of time-gated ones, we can focus on them when those happen. And we don't have to just constantly wait and see what's going to pop up next. We have the entire list at our disposal. This is the best out of everything in this patch notes, I think, in my personal opinion. Warbands, personal note for me, and this one again, Warbands is a wash. Warbands are a wash. They pushed them so hard early on in the game that they realized their fault in doing so, and then they started to take away so many things from warbands that made them warbands and worth doing with other people. Now we have our own tableau. They removed the ancestral affixes forever ago now. So there's really no point in being in a warband with any other player except for the weekly purple crest, and even that is kind of a joke because the market crash. They're not really worth the 1,500 platinum per week to just try to basically pull teeth in getting 4 people in your warband on at the same time to run warband raids for that weekly crest. It's, unfortunately, my core group, just lost interest in the game, and that happens over the course of time, but I have had to recycle so many people in and out, a revolving door, just how it goes. It's the same cycle for any game when it comes to a social aspect of that. It's just how it is. Real life, all that kind of stuff comes up, whatever, loss of interest, you get the idea. This one here is basically just to make your warband that much bigger so that they're kind of crunching down of warbands population, I think in general. It's just making it easier to where you have more people on throughout the day to where you can get your 4 people in at any point and say, oh, hey, you're on. Hey, you're on. Hey, let's do a warband raid real quick. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's the only advantage I see out of them increasing the number. But, yeah, other than that, warbands are pretty much forgettable at this point. They finally implemented, I guess, the clan name change. I thought it was supposed to happen the last time, but here we are again. So it's in the official Blizzard notes this time. And maybe it'll actually happen this time around. We'll wait and see, I guess. They didn't. I think they actually had it in the patch notes the last time, but it didn't happen. And so here we are again. And it's going to be wait and see when the patch goes live to actually see if it's relevant. Damage statistics log for dungeon run. So basically you're getting a testing dummy damage checker while you're going through dungeons now. It's quality of life thing. That's all you can say about that one. Moving on. Familiars, you can now empower familiars. Before you can do it like a batch of them all the way to 30 in one go. Now you can select how many levels you want to empower any number of familiars, which is very, very weird. This one's very weird because what's the point? You can't do anything with them conversion wise or what have you until they're level 30 anyway, max level. So the fact that like, oh, I only want to put 10 levels in this one and whatever. Why? Anyway, so that one's really weird. But now you can save all your bonded familiar in your armory. So you can save your bonded familiar list in there now, which I guess is good so you don't accidentally scrap any of them, even though we can lock them down. And once we get the familiars set anyway, it's taken so long for them to for us to swap them out. This is almost a moot point as well. But, oh well. Paragon trees, the red dot notification whenever you get 4 Paragon points is supposedly going to be gone now. So that's kind of good because it was just mainly irritating to a lot of us. So that's going to be nice. And in particular now, we can't do anything with them as far as like max Paragon level right now in the game because we haven't gotten a new Paragon tree. So I find that very interesting. The only thing now we have to look forward to is getting 80 points per those legendary skills, only for the extra added substats. That's it. That's the only thing we got going for us right now as far as Paragons go, and that I find very interesting, that we haven't gotten a new Paragon tree as of yet. And Inferno 3 is the last difficulty that we're approaching at 500. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if there's anything to be followed up or followed through on, because I find all that very interesting that we haven't gotten anything yet to look forward to. And that's a little concerning, I think. But anyway, and then damage numbers displayed on screen. We're getting the option to turn them off, which is a very odd design choice and a very odd player choice, as that matter, because we always like to see those numbers on the screen. We do. We that what gives us that little bit of happiness to see, like, oh, I'm critting. Look at that. Look at my crits. We get that little bit of, what have you, to make that worthwhile and to have the option to turn them off because it obstructs the view. Now, this one's a bit more pertinent here, I think. It says just whether combat numbers display at all, which I think is dumb, or their display size. Now, the display size, I agree with. That one's fine. That one's way more beneficial, but the fact that you can turn them off is just weird, I think. But anyway. And then difficulty select menu. If you haven't unlocked a certain difficulty, it will automatically direct you to a Helicory boss that you need to unlock the next difficulty. So this is just a quality of life change. All right, that's enough. I've given my thoughts in depth again here, and I actually wanted to try to bullet point this down. But one more thing, the Chinese note here that I wanted to show on the screen. This is what they get on a pretty regular basis, which makes their stuff all the more worthwhile and interesting, I think, for them over there. They are getting the Alliance Tower War. They're way more invested in their season for that, as far as that goes. Why? Because they actually get a monetary payout value on this. The most Towers of Disaster will enjoy a cash reward. So they're actually getting real money out of this. And not only that, there is down here, they're getting actual items, real world, real life items as rewards as well here, which is crazy. Just crazy. Granted, there's some in-game ones too there, obviously, but yeah. So they get these kind of items over there in China. We will never see that in global for obvious regional government restrictions, I'm sure. So that's that for that. But anyway, there we go. Rambled on far too much in this one again, but hopefully you will enjoy the extra added stuff that I put in on these. And as always, stay safe out there in the real world and fire as always. Take care of yourselves as best you can, one day at a time. That's all we can do. Until next time, see you.